Happy New Year everyone and welcome to Push Square's Top 10 Best PS5 Games of 2023. 2023 was an incredible year for some high caliber releases, going from long-awaited PS5 remakes to full-fledged Sony sequels. We've got some bangers to cover and know that this list has been decided through a rigorous voting process from the Push Square staff, so without further ado, I'm Aiden, this is Push Square, and here is our Top 10 Best PS5 Games of 2023. Cocoon is one of those games that's hard to talk about without spoiling things. Spearheaded by Playdead alumnus Jeff Carlson, this excellent puzzle game carries much of that Limbo Inside energy, but makes itself distinct enough with its sci-fi leanings and even more focused design than either of those spiritual predecessors. This game doesn't waste a single moment either, as everything is informed by and in service to puzzles. It's a remarkably efficient game that effortlessly introduces you to everything you need to make it through its strange biomechanical world. The concept of jumping in and out of levels which are orbs on your back is incredibly unique and a hard one to really encapsulate in a short entry here, but if you have a handful of hours to spare, you're not going to regret checking out Cocoon. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, like Fallen Order, is a solid Star Wars experience, which may seem like a stupid thing to say, but what we have here is a game that allows us to seep ourselves into the Star Wars universe with its outback settings and weird alien characters. We really appreciated how the game dove into the long forgotten past, highlighting the aspects of the sci-fi universe that we fell in love with a long time ago. As a sequel, Survivor is bigger and better at just about everything. While not perfect, exploration has been vastly improved. The combat is as solid as ever, emphasized through the inclusion of haptic feedback, and the combat variety, thanks to a plethora of enemy types and the mix and match playstyles introduced with saber stances, mean that gameplay never really gets old across this expansive and explosive campaign. Dead Space kicked off the year with a lovingly recrafted horror experience that gave the USG Ishimura a PS5 tune-up. This is one of the best looking games of the year with some phenomenal lighting work at play, and the audio design in particular will have you inching around each corner with your finger on the plasma cutter trigger. Every ship creak or distant scream will send a shiver down your spine. It's so fun to play with a pair of 3D headphones. It's exactly what we want from modern day remakes, as it manages to maintain the same focus and atmosphere of the 2008 original while carefully expanding and improving it all in the right ways, like giving Isaac Clarke a voice, and thanks to its focus on current gen consoles, things like haptic feedback and, like I mentioned, 3D audio really enhance the entire experience. Lies of P was one of the biggest surprises of 2023. It's a twisted take on the classic tale of Pinocchio, thrust into a Soulsborne. NeoWiz Games knocked it out of the park with its debut, delivering some competent competition for the best in the genre, and Lies of P is probably the closest thing to a Bloodborne successor we've seen to date. With combat mechanics polished to a brilliant sheen, memorable and multi-stage boss encounters, and an interconnected labyrinthine setting with the city of Krat, Lies of P adds its own twist with fresh mechanics. Combining a blade of any weapon with a handle of any other, players are able to craft hideous armaments tailored to their specific needs, and Legion arms offer additional utility. With this, Lies of P is a must-play for fans of the Souls genre, and we can't wait for what comes next from NeoWiz. Coming in at number 6 is Street Fighter 6, a game that isn't just a brilliant brawler, it's an entire bloody package. We could wax lyrical about the game's eye-grabbing art design, superb offensive gameplay mechanics, and the watertight rollback netcode, but the remarkable thing about this outing is that it does it all. There's a solid online lobby system topped off with hilariously hideous character creators, extreme battles, and social hubs. You've also got a full single player campaign which will take up to 30 hours to complete as you explore Metro City, meeting up with main characters from the game. There's almost too much to do in Street Fighter 6, and with new characters releasing on the regular, there's no end to the fun. Fighting games rarely get the credit they deserve, but Street Fighter 6 is a truly standout affair. Here's a game that can not only occupy the upper echelons of the esports empire, but also a space for casuals looking to kick some ass for a couple of hours here or there. After years of underwhelming mainline Final Fantasy games, Square Enix finally got its act together with Final Fantasy XVI. Spearheaded by the Final Fantasy XIV team, this felt like a much more focused project right from the start, and the all-out action from Creative Business Unit 3 certainly had its impact in 2023. The game's unapologetic pursuit of bombastic hack-and-slash battles won't be for everyone, but 16 is an undeniable epic in terms of scope. Carried by moments of incredible spectacle, 16's boss fights in particular serve up some of the most insane clashes ever seen in gaming. Pair that together with a stunning musical score and some superb voice performances, and you've got yourself a Final Fantasy game that strays from tradition but ultimately acts as an outstanding action RPG. 13 years later, we never quite expected to be playing another Alan Wake game, let alone one that is this freaking good. Remedy Entertainment has perfected its brand with a mixture of weird, wonderful, disturbing and enchanting all at once, with their spiraling mystery filled to the brim with twists and turns. You'll struggle to find a game that is as inventive and unique as Alan Wake 2 from 2023. Whether it is the survival horror segments of the game where you play Saga Anderson, or the mind-altering dark place levels as Alan, where light in your imagination morph the world around you, Alan Wake 2 keeps you on your toes, especially considering the fact that you can play these levels in any order. After this, we simply cannot wait to see what Remedy cooks up next. Into the top 3 now, and we're kicking it off with Resident Evil 4. Something would need to go seriously wrong during development for Capcom to mess up its remake of one of the best games of all time. But even still, that shouldn't take away from what the game is now thanks to this remake. An outstanding achievement that maintains its spot as the pinnacle of horror meets action. Faithfully bringing the original campaign to the modern era, this remake goes above and beyond with new content, better combat, and elite graphics. It's a remaking masterclass from the Japanese heavyweights that ensures RE4 remains as one of the greatest games ever made. And as if that wasn't enough, the game has since added its Ada-Wong DLC and a full-fledged PSVR 2 mode for the game, taking its horror to new heights. For all the accolades Baldur's Gate 3 has earned, the fact that it even exists is somehow still its most impressive accomplishment. A near quarter century on from its predecessor, it has still managed to surpass those lofty expectations by reimagining a classic series for a new generation. And it's found monstrous success in the process. It tells a masterfully written story that weaves engaging character interaction and titanic combat sequences with quieter moments of revelry and contemplation. Origin characters allow the narrative to be expanded and even experienced from multiple perspectives, and Larian, its developer, has the confidence to lock meaningful amounts of content behind each, adding incredibly compelling reasons to replay this lengthy game over and over again. Easy to pick up but insanely complex at its core, character depth and progression make the experience of playing through the game a worthy and memorable experience, regardless of the choices you make along the way. In a year with so many brilliant games, our number one spot was never a total certainty. As it so happened, the race for first place was incredibly close, and the two games couldn't be more different. Ultimately though, the big shiny crowd pleaser won. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is our game of the year. It's not hard to understand why either. Insomniac Games had an incredibly strong foundation to build from with two previous webhead adventures under its belt, and this mighty sequel surpasses both of them with ease. The traversal was already great, but here it really is something else, with the web swinging sped up and fluidly merged with the incredibly satisfying web wings. The city is bigger, better and more alive, helped by the vastly improved side missions, and combat has a nice variety with both Peter and Miles bringing something unique to the equation. Practically everything about the game has been buffed and polished to make it one of 2023's glitziest games. It's peak PlayStation first party coming from one of PS Studios' best developers. The direction, writing and story all easily rival what we've seen in cinema, providing the perfect level of popcorn pomp. And the narrative makes meaningful development for our dual protagonists and their loved ones, setting up what will likely be an explosive third mainline entry. Basically, if you like Spider-Man, Sony first party titles or both, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 hits every nail squarely on the head. And those are Push Square's top 10 PS5 games of 2023. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of this list, along with your very own number 1 of 2023. Anyway, thank you as always for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more PlayStation video content, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.